let me thank all of you for still being here. The MEC have announced that this is the apex moment of an investment and jobs conference, because after all the deliberations that took place, we want to know what's the commitment and pledges which are directed to the Northern Cape. And I must say right up front that I'm so much impressed with what I see. The delays here, the MEC of Finance is used to them. Before she presents her budget, we actually get involved in more than 30 meetings, even a meeting 5 minutes before she presents. So I ran the sense premiere. I want to know, where does this rent go to? Where does this rent go to? Up until I get properly clarified on that, then I'm at ease. So we've got serious commitments which have been made and which we deeply appreciate. And to all the corporate entities that made the pledges, we don't take your commitment to the Northern Cape for granted. We are deeply impressed by that. The first commitment is the one by Anglo America, which is the 11 billion rand commitment for mining and beneficiation. And then the description of this project is mineral enhancement, general energy production, enabling the industrialization pathway of the Northern Cape and South Africa. So Anglo is going to plant 11 billion rand into the economy of the Northern Cape. The second commitment, second pledge is by Mulilo. 13 billion rand commitment. It's in the energy space. I'm sure all of you who drives around the province, you see the Mulilo board with all the wind and solar projects that we have here. And then the description of the project is green energy production enabling the industrialization pathways into the Northern Cape. And the third pledge that we received is from June Foods, which is 30 million rand investment in agriculture and processing. 30 million rand investment. June Food Pty Ltd is an innovative company dedicated to transforming the coffee alternative market with flagship projects. Derived from the roasted seed pods of the mesquite tree, Mana View Pro offers a unique healthy alternative to traditional coffee. So you get a healthy alternative to traditional coffee, and most of us are addicted to coffee. So there's a possibility, not a possibility, there's an advent of a healthy alternative. June Foods, 30 million rand. Did I hear you giving them a nice round of applause? The other investment pledge is from IPPO, which is 30 billion rand investment in the province. It's in the energy sector. The Uppington Energy Park is a consolidated renewable energy generation and storage facility to be rolled out in phases, with a potential of each 2.5 gigawatts of generation capacity. The facility will provide renewable energy generators with access to dedicated generation site within a broader energy and storage park, illuminating lengthy land access negotiations, basic services, a generic EIA and site services. That is IPPO, 30 billion rand investment to our province. We've got also an investment pledged by Endo Energy, 16 billion 800 million rand. Also in the energy sector, which is green energy production enabling an industrial pathway of the Northern Cape and South Africa. The next investment is from Vedanta Zinc International. We all know Vedanta Zinc International is the anchor investor of our SEZ. That's in Namakwa. SEZ is Special Economic Zone. Those are our anchor investors. That means they make that establishment of the SEZ possible. 17 billion rand investment in mining and beneficiation. This includes mining expansion and beneficiation of the ore to refine products, creating pathways for the commercialization of zinc and products. I'll be accused of being Mr. Pathways. The next investment is from South African Atlantic Salmon, which is 1.5 billion rand, agriculture and agro-processing sector. This investment involves development and enhancement of Namakwa Aquaculture Park with salmon agro-processing facility. So we are going to process salmon fish now in the Northern Cape. Salmon processing facility. And the other investment comes from South 32. This investment, this is what actually caused a bit of a misunderstanding. When we met with South 32, they said 1.4 billion. And now, here I saw it's 1.2 billion. So I wanted to know where is that other 200 million? Because for all these investments, it's not things that happened by fluke from yesterday and today. It's engagements that we had with these different companies. All of them will tell you we were where they operate. We were on site where they operate. Ask them what's the possibility for expansion to create jobs for the children of the Northern Cape. All of them made most of these commitments on site, and we were there. It's not like we came here and we expect some investments without having engaged. So it's 1.4 billion rand, mining and beneficiation. The project involves sustain and extend the vessel's mine life to operation by developing access to associated ore reserves and establishing the required ore processing plant underground, access tunnels, crusher chamber, and conveyor routes were developed. So can we give South 32 a nice round of applause? The other projects that we've been intensely interacting with the initiators and the investors, we even went with them to Germany, the investors of this project, is the Priska Power Reserve, which is a 12 billion rand investment. The project involves, it's an investment in energy. Can we give Priska Power Reserve project a nice round of applause? The project involves green hydrogen and ammonia project in the Northern Cape. South Africa, stated to begin in production 2026 to 2029, utilizing 880 megawatts solar and 130 megawatts wind and 110 megawatts of battery storage. It aims to produce over 77,000 tons of green ammonia annually, accelerating South Africa's decarbonization and energy transition. Can we give Priska Power Reserve a nice round of applause? And some of the leading figures of this investment are women. Yeah, so with our first engagement, they came and said, when you produce green hydrogen, you need to have electrolyzers and all of that. So with my team, we have to pretend that we know what an electrolyzer is. So when they left, I asked them, what is an electrolyzer? Hey, Premier, we are about to Google this thing and also to check what this thing is all about. So in the next engagement, I was very honest with them. I said, you speak language that we don't understand. What is an electrolyzer? And a whole lot of issues, green ammonia, and production of green ammonia, which is used for fertilizers and all of that. So they said, let's take you to Germany so that we can see how this thing works. Yeah. So we had a trip to Germany. So we went to the company that produces these electrolyzers. And that splits water and then extract hydrogen out of water. Isn't it water? It's hydrogen and oxygen. So they split the two. You won't be able to see that with the naked eye and say, here's water, here's hydrogen, and here's oxygen. So they split hydrogen from oxygen. And then hydrogen then get used for a number of issues as well as the production of ammonia and all of that. So we have to go there to experience this thing. So these are projects which are real. The last time we went with them to Priska, they got a piece of land, it's clearly demarcated, and then construction of the project will start. The last that we have is from the Northern Cape Pro-Tech and Agri-Revolution, which is 2.8 million rand, 2.8 billion for mining and beneficiation. Can we give them a nice round of applause? Pro-Tech and Agri-Revolution, 2.8 billion mining and beneficiation. Green iron, metal smelter, mining and agriculture. That's what the project entails. And our emphasis is beneficiation. Every time we engage, particularly with the mining sector, we say the pit to port mentality must come to an end now. Where you produce at pit and you rail to port, it must come to an end. There should be some degree of beneficiation that takes place, because that pit to port, we are really exporting jobs, which were jobs that can be done by the workforce of the Northern Cape. So the total of all these investments, which we have verified, credible companies, and about 80% of these companies already have got massive operations here in the province. What this involves is expansions that would assist us to create the match with the job opportunities. The expected number of jobs from all these investments is about 19,800. And the total figure for the investment pledges that have been made here. It's 105,330 rand. 105,330 million rand. All the investments are in these three areas that we mentioned when we started, that this is the strength of the Northern Cape. It's mining, it's renewable energy, and agriculture. That's our strength. So we don't want to compete with other provinces on other things that we don't know. But mining, renewable energy, and agriculture can actually end the history of poverty and unemployment in the Northern Cape.